people that live in my district. Okay? There is a hierarchy of influence. And I love what I do. I get up every morning. I just love what I do. And I'm thankful for what I'm able to do it. But I cannot serve unless I get elected. Okay? And everyone else is in the same position, I believe. And so I cannot get elected unless people vote for me. And so people in my district have life or death over me. If you don't know who your senator or your House member or your council member is, and if you don't have a relationship with them, you are way at the wrong end of the spectrum in terms of influence, in terms of being effective with that person. There's a couple of rules, and one of them, again, is you have to be elected to serve. And it sounds kind of basic, but no matter how smart you are, no matter how hard you work, no matter how good you are in your heart, if you cannot get elected, you cannot serve. And so the people that help me do that are the most important people to me. And I'm generalizing a little bit, and I'm running for a statewide race, so all of you are important to me now. But when a legislator is weighing, there's a competition, as I said earlier, competition for time, for telephone time, for email time, for brain time. When you're sorting through 500 people or 100 people or 25 people, who are you going to talk to? You're going to speak first, usually, with the people you know, the people you have a relationship with. And those are usually people that are in your district. And then you go down the list. And then at the very end of the list is someone who you don't know, who doesn't live in your district, may not live in the state, and may never ever get a call back. So the most important thing is to develop and know who your senators, representatives, and council members are. Know them by name, know them by sight, and develop a relationship with them. And I don't believe there's that much different than I am. I think that if you call them up outside of the legislative session, because it's too busy really to get much quality time in, but if you call them up today and say, I'd like to meet with you, I've got a small group, 2 or 3 of us, we'd like to meet with you and talk about an issue, I would say the vast majority of them will say yes, they'll make time, and they'll meet with you. And that is a first step of a relationship. And then next time you come into the office, they met you before, it's just, I cannot overemphasize that. Okay. Who would be the most important person? If I'm looking for, if I'm busy and I don't have time to talk to everybody, and I'm trying to deal with everybody's issues, and I've got to figure all this stuff out in 4 months, 60 days, who do you think is the most important person to walk into my office anytime they want and talk to me? Pardon me? My wife. And that's true. That's true. And then my daughter and my son. Okay, and then people, quite frankly, people like Helen. People that help me because they like me, because they like my values. Helen doesn't get paid for helping me. She helps me because she wants to see me serve and she supports what I'm doing. People, my neighbors, people. And so those are the kinds of people that are closest to legislators. It's just the way it works. And that's why lobbyists, professional lobbyists, develop relationships because, again, that's the competition for time. So if you don't have a relationship, you're really at a disadvantage. Many of you probably already know this. The heads of organizations, whether it's the head of this organization, the head of the charter school, they will normally go out and be developing relationships. But it really is, again, I cannot overemphasize the importance of having a relationship. And even if you don't agree with the person or don't support the person, especially if you're in their district, they need to know that you're in their district, and they need to know who you are. And it just gives you, again, tremendous additional influence and power. Your word is just going to be carried that much further. So you can't get elected. You can't serve without getting elected. The second rule, which is, and I'm going to jump around a little bit here. I don't want to just drone on and on, so I'm going to be taking questions too. The second rule that is very important is pretty simple also. It's majority rules. Okay, just like at school, majority rules. No matter how good you are, again, no matter how smart your idea is, if you don't have a majority of support, you cannot pass it. So people come to me all the time and they'll say, well, Gary, can you do something about roadside spraying? Can you get rid of roadside spraying? Can't you get rid of GMOs? Can't you get rid of, do all this stuff? And I said, I can't. Even if I agree with you, until majority agrees, there's nothing I can do about it. So majority rules. There's 25 senators, 51 members in the House, 25 senators in the state Senate, and one person. Okay, what is the most important number in the Hawaii State Senate? 13. Okay, if you have 12 friends, you can do anything you want. Okay, you can be Senate President, you can be in charge of the money committee, you could give everybody, tell them where they're going to sit, where their offices are, where the parking spaces are, who get what's committee. 13 votes is the magic number. Okay, the Senate does not work in lockstep. So I'm exaggerating a little bit. I mean, 13 people don't always march lockstep with each other, but often they will for organizational purposes, to learn who's going to be president. But they're 25 independent people. I get elected on my own, so I'm not beholden to my colleagues in the Senate, even though you try to work together. But 13 people, so if you don't have 13 votes, you can't accomplish it. So if you're looking at public policy and you're saying, I want to pass this bill, then you basically, as a good lobbyist, a good advocate would say, well, how many votes do I have? And you look around and say, okay, you got Gary, he supports this bill, and you maybe have 2 or 3 other people. Well, that's a long way from 13. And so usually you have to do the groundwork ahead of time to get at least close to 13 before you try to push it through. Committees might have 7 people on it, 4 people, that's a magic number, 4 people on the committee. But 13 is a magic number. And the other rule, not really a rule, but just kind of an interesting concept is when they tell you there's no money, because you always go when charter schools will come in, environmental causes will come in and say, well, we need money for this, we need money for that. And you're always told there's not enough money, no, there's not enough money, there's not enough money. So that's a standard response. But really when they say that there's not enough money, what they're really saying is it's not a priority. Because there is money for some. We're in the worst budget period, certainly in my lifetime here in Hawaii, and probably in history. Money is very, very tight right now. We can talk about the budget later. But generally speaking, it's about priorities. So know your legislator. Know them by name, by sight. Talk to them about issues. Meet them personally. Relationships matters. Okay, if you don't walk away with anything other than that, that is the most important thing. You have to know the basics of government. I can't tell you how many people will come up to me, people in my district and around the state will say, well, I want you to vote yes on the Supreme Court nominee. Or I want you to, what about that health care bill, in House Washington, D.C.? And I have to explain to them that, I'm a state senator. And a lot of people, not everybody follows the issues, and not everybody knows the difference. But it's important, if you're going to be an advocate, if you're going to be testifying, to know, if you come to meet with me and I set aside time for you, I hope that you will have done a little bit of homework. And you're not there to address a county issue unless there's some way I can help you with it, or a federal issue, but it's not a state issue. So know the basics of government, target your energy, know the subject matter. Advocates who are knowledgeable in the subject matter are a big help to people like me. If you really understand energy issues, or you understand land use issues, or you understand solid waste issues, and we share the same basic philosophy, but I'm not an expert on anything. I'm not an expert on these issues. I like to think I know enough about them, and they have good instincts, but I seek out people who do know and ask them to suggest solutions to me. So if you can be an expert, you're far better than just being a gadfly, just testifying on anything and everything. The people that testify on multiple issues, generally speaking, aren't very effective. Affiliate with like-minded people. Okay, whether that's a Chamber of Commerce, a labor union, organization like this, the Sierra Club. Pick an organization and get involved. There's power in numbers, there's strength in groups working together. And I would carry one step further. I would say network with other groups.